Step into the light or the shadow it casts. A look in the mirror, stripping the mask. The ego deflects what the id wants to hide, but we find the truth on the edge of the slide. The void isn't empty, it's a canvas of gray, where the ghosts of our bias come out to play. You point at the monster, you point at the screen, but it's only a shadow that's being seen. We sit in the silence where the tension is rife, dissecting the ego with the surgical knife. From the depths of the abyss to the clarity of mind, leaving the noise and the drama behind. High etiquette, held as the ultimate key. This is the Short Burst Podcast TV. See the mirror for what it is. The progression begins now.
Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. I don't know if you guys heard that intro song or not. I'm having issues. I do not have a production crew and still trying to learn this stuff. So my apologies if you did not hear that. In the meantime, we're getting back on with this thing about the Short Bus Podcast TV. As I've said, it's for the viewers and their education. And what I'm talking about there is it's not about me. It's not about me as a host or anything like that. It's about the viewers and their education. It's about the change, affecting change. Be the change, as the thumbnail shows. Mahatma Gandhi, be the change that you wish to see in the world. And this is what we're talking about, is taking up that responsibility again of not just ourselves and our own responsibility, but that love thy neighbor as thyself aspect. So I've got a couple videos from a guy that I sub to. Let me find it.
When we hit the pothole.
And screw these commercials. Let me make sure I got it set up. Yeah, hit that PayPal link, help a brother out, get rid of these commercials, and get the StreamYard up and running again for full panel. Every little bit is appreciated. Just takes a little bit of kindness. And in the meantime, let's get back to it. Skip the ad. Full screen.
Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome back to Offended Outcast. I'm so glad you came along today.
Offended Outcast. Offended Outcast. Let me grab his link and I'll drop it in the chat for everybody. In the meantime, let's listen to this guy and see what he has to say. He's an older gentleman, been there, done that, and he started his life over in his older years. And rather than having to wait until we get into our old age to do this stuff, I'm urging the aspect of that education is for the younger generations to instill that, be the change. So let's listen to him, see what he has to say. I've got 3 videos from this guy we're going to look at, and hopefully this will instill in you that kindness to be that change.
Five acres of untapped potential, endless water source, room to roam, where dreams are built and memories are made for years to come. Three and a half years ago, guys. 3.5 years ago, I had a home. I couldn't afford it. Bills were eating me up. Utilities, property taxes. And as my family died off, caretaken, lost my wife, lost my father. All of these things changed me. And for a long time, I was a broken man. And I had to find a new way to live. I had to find something that had meaning. But I knew the way I was living wasn't working. Can't keep going around doing the same old thing, expecting new results. So I sold the home, paid off my debt. From there, I had no place left to go. I bought an old $4,000 camper and said, well, I got to make it work. So I did. I had the opportunity to take over as a caretaker for another man's property after owning every place I've ever lived in my entire life. Now I'm taking care of someone else's land. Well, that worked on me, guys. It didn't sit right. I felt like a failure.
And that's part of it, you know, when we take upon that responsibility and accountability, it's like I said, for ourselves. And the ultimate is being that caretaker for yourself and your own thing and not somebody else's. It kind of leaves a hole. I've been in that position myself before, being a caretaker of somebody's land. And granted, it was in exchange for the rent, but it wasn't mine yet. And that's what I want. Something that's actually mine, that I can show my true stewardship, not just to other men, but to the nature around, and providing for the change that it needs to go back to its nature. We've invaded so much of the nature in our capabilities, in our dominion, that we're actually destroying a lot of it. So I think, and again, this is just my opinion, but I think we need to get back to that true nature to be those true stewards we're meant to be.
I felt like I let myself down. So I said, I can't do that either. I'm going to find a way to achieve my dream. Well, what's your dream? Owning my own land again. As this is it. This is where I ended up. Well, it took a lot of work. It took 2 years to find this place. 2 years of searching, researching. Now it's over with. Here I am. I'm finally here. And it's emotional today. It's very emotional. But well worth it. Now I got a future. Now I got a chance to build something of my own again.
And that's what we need to instill in our younger generations, the motivation to do themselves and not be these subservient slaves to this daddy of society.
And for me, that's priceless. Don't let your dreams hold you back, guys. If you got an opportunity, seize it. We're only allowed one trip around this earth. That's it. Make the most of it. That's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely.
Here I am. 3.5 years later. And for me, I think that was pretty good. It could have been a lot longer. But I worked hard. I saved my money. I planned accordingly. And that's how I achieved this dream. Here we are today, starting a new future, full of challenges, full of ambition, full of hope. There's going to be hard days, and there's going to be good days, but every one of them is going to have meaning. Every one of them has value. I hope you guys can see.
Yeah, when it comes to the meaning and value in those good days and bad days, there have been times in my life where those bad days have brought more value than the good days, because they're important lessons to learn, folks. Please pay attention. They're all worth it.
See that there's possibilities in changing the way you live. On my way up here on this trip today, I seen cookie cutter houses stacked on top of each other. And I got to thinking, knowing I was coming up here today, how can people choose to live that way? I just don't see how they do it. You could literally touch the house next door. And I'm talking expensive homes. And I'm like, how is that freedom? How is that independence? Because to me, that's not it. To me, this is independence right here. Having something of your own, making it your own, shaping it to your will. Yes, the challenges are here, and there's a lot of them. But you know, I'm okay with that, because at least here, I can handle it. One step at a time, guys. This is what it meant. This is what it means. Independence, freedom, living life on my terms for a change, instead of living life on someone else's. If you're ever considering doing something like this, don't hold back. Do it while you still can. This is the time.
Yeah, do it while you still can. And that's why I urge people to get involved in this kind of movement. It's for our younger generations, so they don't get trapped and can't find a way out like so many people today in their older years. Instead of being restricted to the elderly care, assisted home livings and stuff, if we take upon those responsibilities at a younger age, we tend to be healthier people and not have to require those assisted living situations, because we build our own assisted living in community, not in economics.
As we see how things are changing in our economy, people are going to have to start learning how to live smaller, live simpler, choose a different path, because the old way is not sustainable anymore. We all see it. Gas is going up, food's going up, utilities are going up. But most of us, for a lot of us, our income is not.
Especially today in these tariffs and all these foreign wars they're calling these, causing all these trade problems and stuff. Again, I've said it many times. Your grandest power is in the locality. Your local community has the greatest power, and it's giving it up to the world empire.
So what are you going to do? You got to make some hard choices. But to me, this was the right choice. Starting over. Over 60. Starting over. A fresh start. Anyways, guys, I'm glad you're here today. Thanks for taking this trip with me. And until next time, guys, let's rise together.
Absolutely. Let's rise together. And again, this is about bringing up the younger generations in a better perspective and a better way. So let's take a look at the next one. The same gentleman, I bought unrestricted land. He's going to tell you about his off-grid reality here. You know, again, as he said there at the end, over 60 and starting over. It doesn't have to be like this. We shouldn't have to be living in a society where we have to start over in our older years. We should be able to develop something sustainable for ourselves in our younger years and maintain that for the rest of our life, building it and expanding it.
Everybody talks about going off grid. You hear it all over the place now. Just buy some land. Just live free. Just walk away from the system. But what nobody tells you is what happens when you actually try to do it.
So when I talk about the Short Boss Podcast TV and how I want to instill this education in our younger generation so they can get off grid and do the schoolie vans and stuff like that in their homesteading, this is one of those aspects that in my studies of law, it's very pertinent. So every other week is going to be a selected topic on the technologies and stuff. And then the opposing weeks, the intervening weeks, we'll be able to discuss the off-grid living legalities and stuff. And that's what we're looking at. I don't want to get into so much of the law as far as case laws and how it does this or that in economics, but specifically in the off-grid living. What are the laws for your self-containment of water? What are your water, your sewage and garbage laws and stuff like that? Those are the things that are going to be pertinent. He's going to talk about some of those.
Zoning boards, permits, septic laws, solar restrictions. You find out real quick this thing they call freedom comes with a whole lot of fine print. And if you don't read,
yes, a whole lot of fine print. And real quick, folks, just in case you don't see it, it's not really fine print, but PayPal, me, Keith Orton, a little FBU. Always appreciate it. We could certainly use some help here after a wrongful eviction. It's kind of got us in a stressful place. So every little bit does count. It always helps, and it's greatly appreciated. Please show us a little bit of love here.
that fine print, you can end up owning land that you can't even live on. Today, I want to walk you through exactly how I found my land, how I researched it, and how I bought it, and everything I had to dig through just to make sure I could actually live the life I wanted. Welcome back to Offended Outcast. If you're new to the channel, take a moment to subscribe. It'd really help out. This is something a lot of people have been asking about. How did I find that land? How did you know it would work? How do you even start something like that at my age? Well, I get that, because this isn't something most people ever think about. until life pushes them into it or they actually have a desire to do this.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you.
Why did I choose this path? Well, good question. There comes a point in life where you start asking yourself some hard questions. Where do I belong? What kind of life do I actually want? And maybe more importantly, how much control do I really have? Because for a lot of that control starts slipping away. Costs go up, options go down, and suddenly you're being told where you can live and how you can live and what you can afford to survive on. Now, I had people ask me, why not just go into senior housing? Why not get an apartment? And I'll be honest with you, that life never fit me. I've always been the kind of person to keep to myself. I like quiet and I like space. I like not being stacked on top of other people. And more than anything, I like the idea of being able to wake up in the morning and not feel like I'm being managed. So let me ask you something. Could you live that way? Or are you like me, where you need space just to feel like yourself?
That's a large part of it, folks, because that's what I'm talking about with the younger generations. If we keep doing what we're doing day in and day out and not changing, it's just a management system. It's a ruling class of caste systems. In other words, you've got the upper people who determine who the lower classes are and rule over them. And that's not the way we're meant to be. Each man has his own dominion. And that's what we need to get back to as stewards. Again, it's a management system that we really need to manage ourselves. We've given up the responsibility of management to the wrong people.
Now, when I started looking for land, I didn't even really know where to begin. So I did what most people do these days. I went online, started digging through sites like LandWatch and LandModo and LandSearch, just scrolling, looking at pictures, trying to figure out what was real and what wasn't. And I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of land out there that looks good on the surface, but it comes with strings attached. And that's where most people make their first mistake. They shop for land the same way they shop for a deal. Price per acre, nice photos, looks peaceful, but they don't ask the most important question. Can I actually live the way I want on this land? At some point, it clicked for me. I wasn't just buying land. I was buying permission. Permission to live a certain way. Permission to build a certain way. Permission to exist without somebody looking over my shoulder. And that's when I started narrowing things down. I wasn't just looking for land anymore. I was looking for unrestricted land. Now let me explain what that means.
Unrestricted land. And of course, he's going to go in and talk to you about the water, sewage, and garbage and all that, which is restrictions, but it's health restrictions. It's pertinent. And we shouldn't need a management system for that even. So again, it's a matter of taking that responsibility and making sure that you know what you're doing. And that's what he's doing here. He's explaining, you need to do your research. Again, folks, do not believe me. Do not believe the neighbor. Do not believe the government. For crying out loud, do not believe your mother. Do your research so you know. That is your true responsibility.
Unrestricted land does not mean no rules. Let's get that straight right now. What it means is there's no HOA telling you what color your door has to be. There's no zoning classification telling you you can't park a camper on your own property or build a tiny shed conversion. There's no neighborhood board deciding whether you're allowed to exist there or not. Unrestricted does not mean no rules. It means you have room to work within the rules. And that's exactly what I found. The land I bought is zoned unrestricted. And that one detail changed everything. Because now I have flexibility. I can start with a camper. I can build later. I can take my time. I'm not forced into debt just to satisfy a code requirement.
So just as I was speaking about the boondocking in my previous video with the schoolie conversion bus, starting out cheap and doing what you can and building later. The young man built his first schoolie. He did a wonderful job. It worked for him. And as time went on, he progressed and kept building further and further. And now he's got a totally different setup. And I believe he's even got his own piece of land now. I have to go back and check again. But that's what it's about. Starting out small and building as you go. We can all do this. You don't have to have it handed to you from somebody else and then pay for it through your labor and stuff. You can do your labor and produce for yourself rather than somebody else.
Now, here's the part nobody wants to talk about. A lot of people out there are buying land they can't use. They buy a piece of property thinking they're going to live off grid, only to find out later no RV living allowed. You must build a home within 12 months, no alternative systems, minimum square footage requirements, and on and on. And suddenly, well, that cheap land becomes a trap. That's exactly.
Not only does it become a trap, but it's a devastating trap in some cases. For instance, when I was out in the Appalachians hiking around with a backpack and a tent, there was a family that purchased 10 acres and they wanted to live off grid, like the man says, and raise their children up, homeschooling them. They had 3 beautiful little girls, and somehow grandma and grandpa didn't think it was right. And of course, they had the support of the state because the land that they purchased was not unrestricted land, and therefore certain qualifications were needed to be met. And the research wasn't done to qualify for that. So grandma, in her efforts to take the children away from mom and dad, was successful because mom and dad didn't know. It's not that they didn't do anything and that they did something wrong. It's just that they didn't know. And that is the devastation of not knowing. Again, do not believe me. Do not believe the neighbor. Do not believe the government. For crying out loud, do not believe your mother. Do your damn research, folks. This is a must.
Why I kept searching until I found unrestricted land. That process took me 2 years to find the piece I bought because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life asking permission just to exist. Have you ever run into that? Bought something or almost bought something and then found out there were strings attached? Now, a lot of people think they're going to go to fight zoning boards. They're going to go sit in the meetings, argue their case, try to convince somebody to let them live their life. And I'm going to tell you something real simple. The best zoning fight is the one you never have to get into. That's why I did my homework before I bought anything. I called the county. I checked with the state. I asked questions. I made sure I understood
Absolutely.
what I could do and what I couldn't do before I ever signed a piece of paper. Now let's talk about solar, because that seems to be the other issue. It's another area people misunderstand. Yes, you can go solar. Yes, you could generate your own power. But here's the truth. They still regulate it. Now, because my land is unrestricted, I've got a bit more flexibility. But of course, I still have to follow electrical safety codes, installation standards, and in some areas, local permitting. You can step outside the system, but you can't ignore the safety.
Absolutely. You cannot ignore the safety. This is a must. As I explained in the previous video, the guy that converted his schoolie, you must be aware of the electrical codes and stuff and parameters so you can set your electronic up so it's not a fire hazard. Okay. Again, do your research so you know, and be preemptive so you can work with the regulations that there might be or that there are according to your research.
Now let's talk about septic and waste, because this is where a lot of people get burned. The waste. Nobody likes to talk about it, but it's one of the most important parts of living off grid. Even on unrestricted land, you still have to deal with health department rules. That means site evaluations, soil testing, approved septic systems, whether it be composting, an outhouse, or an in-ground system. Now, you can use composting systems, but you better know the rules before you try it. And this is where a lot of off-grid dreams die, is right there. Now, water is the other big issue, of course. Water's
right. They die because it's a health issue. Okay, and that's why it's so important to understand your health as well as the environment's health around you. You do not want to be defecating in places where it's going to destroy the very nature that we're trying to tend, that we're trying to be stewards for. That is the epitome of being a steward, is making sure you do not do that kind of stuff. And that's why it's so important.
Another big one, because water is freedom. Now, unrestricted land gives you options, but it doesn't give you unlimited rights. You still have to think about wells, ponds, rivers, and streams, filtration, access, storage, and legal usage.
As 8308 says, so basically you're never off the grid. Actually, you can be off the grid, but what we're saying here is that no matter where you're at, it's going to affect the grid. Okay, like upstream and downstream of waterways. If you're somewhere along that streamway, there are people above you that above you on that stream and people below you on that stream. So you have to be very tentative about that stream and its health, because it does affect the health of people on grid. Specifically, in stewarding, not just your local area, but again, love thy neighbor as thyself. That means whenever you think about yourself in this situation, you must think about the others around you and how it might affect them.
And if you don't plan this part out, you're going to struggle. Here's something people don't want to hear. Off grid does not mean off law. You still have to follow local building codes, safety standards, and local regulations. Unrestricted land gives you freedom of use, but not freedom from responsibility. If there's one thing I did right here, guys, it was this. I prioritized unrestricted land above everything else. Not the view, not the price, not the convenience, but freedom. Then I backed that up with research, study, phone calls, conversations, and a lot of planning.
And a lot of questions. Again, the important thing about information, education, knowledge is the questions. And this, again, this goes to what I've said many, many times, folks. I urge everybody to unlearn what they've been taught. We've been all indoctrinated. And if you have the abilities, which is very simple, get yourself a concise English handbook and a college composition handbook. And that way you can learn how to construct your questions and your statements in regards to these negotiations of all of this off-grid living and the restrictions.
Because I'll tell you right now, guys, if I had bought restricted land, this whole plan would have fallen apart. I'd be dealing instead with fines and deadlines, restrictions, and stress. Instead, I bought options. All right, here's my final thought. You know, they sell you this dream of freedom, but they don't tell you freedom takes work. You have to research it, you have to protect it, and you have to think ahead. Because if you don't, that dream can turn into a nightmare. I didn't just buy land, I bought options, and that all came down to one decision: finding unrestricted land. I'm glad you all tuned in for today's episode, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until
So yeah, it's important, this education stuff. That's why I'm reviewing these videos. I found this guy and I think he's got a great mind, and he's certainly doing what it takes, even after being 60 plus years and having to start all over. The next video I've got is him and that loving thy brother as thyself in respects to that. So basically you're never off the grid. And there are people that need help on the grid. And so when we can relieve ourselves of those, of that management, it's because we found our way through that management. Now we can go into that grid and help other people get off grid, or help them live in the grid when they're having a hard time, a rough time. And this next one hits home because we were just recently evicted and we faced the same outlook. Were we going to be able to find a place that we could sustain our life? And we certainly, at our age, myself, I could technically, even though I'm still trying to get my health back from lung cancer, but my companion cannot. So currently with my companion, I have to stay on grid and help her, because there's no way I could take care of her out there in the wild, out there off grid. There's no way I could do that. So right now I'm kind of stuck on grid, but everything I can do to help others manage themselves in the grid or manage themselves through the grid so they can get off grid, that's what I'm going to do. Oops, wrong one. And again, real quick here, make sure you hit that PayPal link and help a brother out. Every little bit helps. We're trying to get the StreamYard up and running for full 9-person panel for the Short Bus Podcast TV. So please consider a little bit of help and hit that PayPal link. And let's get back into it with Offended Outcast. Go check him out. I dropped the link in the chat. And just like before, I forgot to put it in the details section. I will get that done after we get done with the stream here. So be looking for that link in the details section as well, folks.
Good day for a walk. As I see it, we as individuals can really not make a big impact on the systems as a whole that affect us every day. But where we can make an impact is in our local communities. And if you see a need that can be filled, I think that's the place to act. After all, how many people do we see every day that we wave to, that we smile to, that we talk to every day? The lady at the bank, the cashier at the grocery store, the man at the gas station. These are all people that are in our community that we interact with every day. And if you can see a need and you have the ability to fill it, I want to encourage you guys to step up and fill that need. And it's not about recognition. It's about making a difference. This is where we can affect change at the local level. Because if more of us are able to do something to help someone in need, the better off this world will be.
And that's what I'm urging you folks. Again, love thy neighbor as thyself. We don't necessarily need help from the management. We need to manage our own abilities to help others.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro. Last time I was down here, I seen the need that needed to be filled. And I hope you'll allow me to help fill that need for you.
I don't, God bless you. I hate asking for a handout. I do. I normally do it myself.
I understand that. I understand that completely. But sometimes when other people can.
You see, the topic here of helping other people out in this management system, we really can't change the management so much individually or even as groups as whole so much. But the management does have mechanisms available to help certain people. But those mechanisms and the availability of the help is not there. It doesn't fulfill the need of help. In other words, it'll help some, but it still leaves so many that are still needing help. And that's why I'm urging people to reach out and start helping.
Send a hand and give a hand up. I like to say that's what needs to be done here.
You guys are a blessing because I was on the phone with Flo, and she's a good woman. And I told her I felt overwhelmed. She said, I wish I was there to help you.
I understand completely.
I've got to wash clothes. I got to put the S in that woman's car to go to Columbus to her brother's house to wash my clothes up. But yeah, this is going to be done. I got to have clean clothes.
I understand. I understand completely. But here's the thing I want to tell you is that, we're here to help. And it's our goal to get you stabilized and get you in some solid footing.
Yeah.
So if you would take a step with me outside, there's something I'd like to present to you. Come on, brother. It's going to be all right. I got you. Like I said, when I came here before, I seen the need that needed to be filled. So it is my great pleasure to be able to do something for you, sir. I'd like to give you the keys.
Oh my God.
To that Cadillac.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can. Please tell me you'll take it.
Oh my Jesus.
Please.
My God.
Here's the title.
Sir.
Now tomorrow, If you'll let me, I'll pick you up in the morning.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to Social Security office first.
Yes, sir.
Get your check squared away.
Yes, sir.
After that, I want to take you over to the D.U.M.B.
Yes, sir.
We'll get the tags and titled into your name.
Yes, sir.
Now, I've already put insurance on this car for you for 30 days.
Yes, sir.
So that way you don't have to worry about that.
Yes, sir.
And we're just going to solve one problem at a time.
Oh my God.
One problem at a time. And if this isn't pulling at your heartstrings, folks, then I urge you to open your heart a little bit more.
Yeah.
Brother.
I hope this helps you out in some way.
Yes, sir. God Almighty.
Look at your car.
I never. Oh my God. Sweet Jesus. Oh my God.
She's all yours.
Brother. We get her. We get her.
This one here, okay. No, it's over here.
Okay.
There you go. It's a Cadillac. Yeah. Now, you've got 98,000 miles on it. It's a 96.
Yes, sir.
She's not new. She's got some issues, but she runs and drives good locally.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me push you. Okay?
Damn it.
Thank you for letting me push you.
My God.
Okay. We're gonna work through this. Okay?
Yes, sir.
One problem at a time, like
Yes,
I told you. One problem at a time.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Oh my God. Never. I never. My own family, my own daddy, never. It's always been me.
I understand. You know, Tim, we've all been in positions like this in our lifetime, where sometimes we just need a little help up. And this is one way I can help you.
Yes, sir.
And real quick here, hit that PayPal link. Help me get rid of these commercials and pull up the StreamYard for full panels again. Would really appreciate it. All of it helps. Every little bit.
Oh my God.
I'm humbled and honored to do it. So the Lord put it on my heart to fill this need.
Amen. Jesus.
That's where we're at.
Yes, sir. I don't know what to say other than there is a God in heaven. I'm in a rough situation right now. I don't know what to say. These fellas showed up and lifted my day with a vehicle. I haven't had a vehicle in like 9 years. Like I said, I'm in a rough situation. I got evicted from my home. I've got to find a place to go. I didn't expect this right here at all. Like I said, there is a God in heaven. And I don't know these fellas, but they showed up out of the blue. I watched church this morning and I took communion. And I've been blessed. I've been blessed. In Jesus' name. I will find another place to go. I have a dog that she's human. She's my companion. And I'm not getting rid of her by no means. And all I got to say is I love these guys. I don't know what to say. I humble myself. I've cried all morning. And they show up out of blue. And I just want to tell them thank you. And God bless you. And I am blessed. In Jesus' precious name. Thank you.
Tim was overwhelmed that day. He had to be out of his apartment that day. When I got there, he was packing up. He was cleaning up the apartment, trying to get all his things out. And we was able to help. So I wanted to be able to help him clean the apartment, move the rest of his stuff out, and get him and his dog to safety. Someplace where they could be safe for a while. So I want to encourage you all, if you see a need in your community and you can make even a small difference, I hope that you do so, because that's how we will make a difference. That's how we're going to improve the world, one person at a time.
Absolutely. One person at a time. One little helping hand up at a time. Every little bit helps, like I said. And I'm urging people to step forward and take upon your own education, because that's what it's going to take in order to do this kind of stuff. Just an education. We've all been indoctrinated. to remember this and remember that in the management system and letting somebody else manage it. All we got to do is fill out the paperwork and sign at the bottom. But like the man said, be very aware of what you're doing before you ever sign any documents. That's what I've been saying for a long time too. And I urge people to do this. First step is taking upon the education. Start now, no matter what age you are, because you never know who in your family or circle of friends might need that helping hand up someday. And you can do that if you're already preemptively prepared. We need to start preparing for this stuff. We've been indoctrinated into letting this government provide these quote handouts that we think are benefits, when actually it's just like you said, it's a management system, and they're only going to manage so much. Okay, so think about this stuff, and remember, you heard it here on the Welcome to the Short Bus Podcast TV, where we're trying to make a change. We're trying to be the change in that education by opening minds through a diplomatic etiquette style debate platform where we can discuss the various technologies we're coming into for off-grid living and management of our own lives, period. Please be aware that I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. That's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you disrespect me. And that part's on you. So may God bless you and have a good day. Let me see if this works. I'm hoping we got our intro song up and running so you can hear it. Let me know in the chat if you hear this or not right away by throwing up a 1 for yes, 2 for no. Can you hear this? Somebody tell me. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, folks. Like I said, I'm new at this. I do not have a production team. So one of these days I will get the intro song set up so that you can actually hear it. And hopefully we'll be able to provide a video for it. And like I said, this is a viewer interactive platform. So if you have material that you'd like to present as an intro song and a video, present it. We're always glad to accept your works. That's what this is about, is a community interactive platform. Be interactive. Help us develop this platform with your likes, with your work, with your creations, with your thoughts, with your minds, and your hearts. So in the meantime, again, remember, I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back.